Greek. It is Friday, 9:40 WINZ, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Thank you for joining the program, 866-801-0940. I know it's not good right now in South Florida. We got to stick together and do the right thing. Our numbers are not going in the right direction. We're aware of that. But it's a Friday, and things do not change. And what do we do on Fridays in the Greek Zone? We talk to my very good friend and future, probably Oscar winner in some kind of role in movies. We got Sid Rosenberg on, and we also have his friend William DeMeo is going to join us too. Sid, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
First of all, Greek, I'm great. Second of all, you know I'm the biggest Bruce Springsteen fan ever. I mean, ever. I've seen him at concert 30 times, so 10th Avenue Freeze Out was the perfect song. And when you stop with the numbers going up nonsense, I mean, seriously, you sound like my governor here in New York.
I wish I was your governor. I'd give you a raise. I'd give you a raise if I was your governor.
Your numbers are going up because you're testing more. The hospitalizations in Florida are down. The ICUs are down. All the stuff that's important are down. So you got to stop believing your networks, your local news. Ron DeSantis is doing a great job, unlike New York. My wife is there right now as we speak.
Yes.
She literally is walking on Lincoln Road with my daughter Ava, my son Gabriel, and her two friends. She took the kids down on Monday. She would not go down to a place that is doing badly with my son who's got respiratory issues. So don't tell your listeners the numbers are up, let's stick together. The truth is, Florida's doing great. Your hospitalizations are down. Your ICUs are down. The ventilators are down. Let's stop the nonsense. Because all you're doing is giving ammunition to the lying media. It's not true.
Sid, I love you to death, bro. I love you to death. You know that. I'm excited. It's like I'm going to a Little League game, and my son's up at bat. That you definitely are going to get into this series. I'm very excited about it. I've told a ton of people about it. And I know you were tweeting me all week, and you said, you know, before I even get on, should I ask them to change the name of the series to put my name in the beginning? I said, let's wait for that. And let's see what happens. I do believe we have your good friend that's on with us, too, right now. William DeMeo, is that true?
So you know what? Put him on. I'll take a back seat like I did a couple of weeks ago with my friend Dolores from the Real Housewives of New Jersey, hopped on, and I just listened for about 20 minutes. He's the star. He created it. He wrote it. He directed it. He's the lead in the show. Again, it's 4 episodes in the. You can watch them tonight on Amazon Prime. If you like The Sopranos, if you like Goodfellas, all that stuff, you're gonna love this. It's centered in Brooklyn. All the places that he ends up now, the places, Greek, that you know I have history at. So you're going to love this guy. You're going to love this series. And with that said, Greek, welcome in William DeMeo.
How are you, William?
Hey, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you so much. It's great to be on the show.
Oh, we appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. First of all, how you feeling? How's your family and friends? Everybody doing good?
Yeah, no, thank God, everyone's, we're doing good. I'm actually in Brooklyn today, and, it's seems like it's starting to come back, and, people are around, and it's starting to feel more normal, which is good. A blessing, because, we've been through so much with this, but, hopefully we get all the way back soon.
Okay, that's great to hear. Again, we appreciate your time. First of all, congratulations on your series, that it's doing well. Let me ask you about your connection with Sid and how you think he's going to fit into this show, and will it be a role that you think might be able to expand on?
Well, definitely. Sid, the great thing about Sid is he's Mr. Brooklyn. He comes completely, he doesn't need to be like taught the mannerisms or anything like that, because the beauty of our show is it's Italians and Jews, and it's about Bensonhurst, Gravesend, and the business that they do with a lot of the Jewish Americans in Borough Park. Sid could fit like both sides, so which we're working on that now moving forward. But he's a great guy, and I've always been a fan of him, listening to him on the radio, and it's great to have him. I want real guys like that. Like, I don't have to guess people like Bo Dietl and James Russo and Leo Rossi and Nick Pittoro, Paul Ben-Victor, some of the people that are already, Ken Lerner, the people that are already in Louis Lombardi, people that are already part of our show. And now we're expanding on that and bringing more people that you don't have to second guess. Kind of like I've said in the past, like The Sopranos was a cast that you just knew that they all fit they weren't all very famous at the time, but they all fit into their characters very well.
Now, what do you think it is with William, with the public, that they never seem to be able to get enough of the mob, organized crime, and as soon as it pops out with any kind of series or movie or something like that, that they get intrigued, that they want to watch it, because it's been going on for years and years and years, and I'm sure it will continue.
Yeah, and that's what I try to say, because, when we were first pitching this and discussing this with networks and stuff like that, I tried to explain to them, because some of them said, I don't know if it's, The Sopranos and this, and I tried to explain that, people, there's an appetite for this, that people...
Yes.
People just love this. And especially the time period of our show, which is the 80s, which is a really fascinating time, and how strong the mob was in the 80s, until, Rudy Giuliani started really, with the RICO law and stuff like that. But the 80s was a great time in Brooklyn, especially. And like you said, people always want to see, these type of characters. Tony Soprano was bigger than life. I mean, everyone loved him more than anything. And just to show, as you remember, Sunday night, I mean, everyone was on that show. Everyone. It was like, and it really took, we only have 4 episodes right now, and we have a lot more coming. But even if you look at that show, which I was blessed to be a part of, it took a little while for it to really
catch fire,
take off. It takes a little time for people to start to get into the characters and really want to see more and more and more. And that's what we're doing now. I'm just really blessed because I got a really good response on the first 4 episodes, and I can't tell you how many messages we're getting and people wanting to see more, and the rest of the world now. And we just signed a foreign deal, so the rest of the world is going to get to see the show, which we've been getting major messages on that too. People in the UK, people in Australia, people in Canada. So by the time we're ready to launch the second season, which will be longer, we'll have the world more in tune because we signed a foreign distribution deal as well.
Now, your role, obviously, you're in it, you're producing, but as a producer, do you let actors, or do you believe in actors to ad-lib, like somebody like Sid, who will probably have a hard time reading a script as far as staying on it? Are you cool with that, where these guys go in a different direction?
Well, I mean, for instance, I'll give you an example. For as being part of The Sopranos, I knew one thing. With David Chase, you weren't allowed to change one word. That's just the way he personally... you had to be on script no matter what. There was he didn't really like that. He wanted you to stick to the script. I'm sure here and there was exceptions. But for me, as long as it's really close to what we're trying to get across, if a word or two is changed here or there, that stuff really doesn't bother me too much. But I'm sure Sid could do a monologue and have every word on point.
I don't know. I might take 50 on that because I know Sid very well. Sid, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah. Well, listen, it's funny. William is right. I mean, I know, look, I'm very, very good friends with Tony Sirico, obviously, and what's happened to Tony, a.k.a. 40 Walnuts, is actually very, very sad. I mean, I'll see Tony now every couple of weeks, and he'll say to me, Sid, what was the name of that show it was on again? That's how bad it's got Tony. But every now and then, Tony and Michael and Jimmy, they did have and Steven, they did have the right to change just a little. But William's point is well taken. David Chase was a stickler about it. And I think, most actors want to do what the producer, the writer, the director wants them to do. So, when you get to a guy like Jimmy Gandolfini, it's kind of like asking Dan Marino. Dan Marino is going to change the play every once in a while. He's earned that right? I mean, the guy's one of the best quarterbacks ever. But Sid Rosenberg making his first real starring debut with William DeMeo show, I'm going to probably stick to the script.
I still take 50 on that.
I'm sure as a radio host and all you do, and I'm sure you have to stick to scripts of commercials that you have to say, right? I'm sure you're pretty used to that with the commercial things that you have to say sometimes. Am I on point with that?
It's funny you say that, William, and this is where you would think that was the case, right? But the truth is,
no,
they don't like that. One of the reasons why I've actually made so much money in this part of the business, which you just mentioned, which is advertising, and my clients stick with me. I get fired every couple of years. They always come with me is because they like when I make them personal. They write a script. Guys like Mike Francesa, former Esiason, and they read the script. It's boring. They actually like it when I take the script and make it personal to me. So when it comes to that type of stuff, William, they want as much editing as possible, unlike what you're talking about. Yeah.
Now, William did tell us you're going to be down in the Fort Lauderdale area filming soon, and that's where he may actually join the set. Is that true?
Yeah, well, we have plans to shoot a portion of the show in like the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, which I'm excited about, because if you know like how old, like you know how it is with the guys from Brooklyn, how they're always in Florida. I mean, almost everyone I know from Brooklyn has a house in Florida or is in Florida, you know, in the winter and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen. And the great part about Miami is that there's a lot of spots that are very old that look like the 80s. There's some hotels that look just like they're out of the 1985, which is really great. And my buddy Steve Matarano, I always go to his place every time I'm in Florida, and it'd be nice to see him. We even have him doing stuff in the show as well. And then there's some really other, well-known actors that we're going to add to the show, which we're working on now. I'm just finalizing all the scripts and trying to figure out when we can shoot because of, there's so many restrictions right now with the Screen Actors Guild.
Yes.
With COVID and which, trying to get a handle on finding out what's going to happen. I know that it's going to be a little bit different, a lot different than it normally was to shoot, but hopefully we'll be able to get through all that and we'll know what the restrictions are and stuff like that. I heard Sid saying that Florida isn't as bad as it seems to be, because I'm hearing that it's getting bad there again. From what I'm hearing, I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I hope that
everything should be okay.
Well.
Yeah, we're hoping for the best. Again, we're talking to William DeMeo. He's got a great new series out on Amazon Prime, Gravesend, story of organized crime in the 80s. Sid Rosenberg, my good friend, is going to be getting in a role in it. And I'm, like I said, very excited for him. And I think he'll do great in the role like everything else Sid does. Let me ask you about scripts real quick, because a lot of people don't realize this. Like, you have 4 shows in, and this is what an email I got from somebody. Like, how many do you have in your head, like, down the road? And they might not be written, but just a vision of how many you have.
That's a really great question. Well, I have like at least 4 seasons in my head, and I have like at least 12 that are all like ready, pretty much kind of ready to go. Sid will tell you that growing up in Brooklyn and being in a neighborhood like Gravesend, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, all these neighborhoods where, especially in the 80s, how it was. There's so many stories to, like, literally you could go on. And that's why, because I've made, 5 of my own films. And when it came to this, I said, you know what, I think it's time that I develop a series, because there's so much to tell. And people really are into this content. They want to see a story continue. And that's the beauty of this neighborhood in this area and the characters from this area. Like, there's so much you can tell. There's so many stories. If you got a group of Brooklyn guys and you had a conversation with Gold School guys, you won't even believe the stuff that they'll tell you, things that went on. And it's just Sid will tell you.
I know.
So
believe
much.
me.
Like, whenever I sit with my friends, like guys that I grew up with, and we all get together and reminisce, it's just mind-boggling, some of the things that happened, and just circumstances and just things that just went on, just hanging out on the corner. I'm not talking about like organized crime. I'm talking about just in general, everyday life.
Yep.
Yeah,
no
like in a club like Pastels, or under 86th Street cruising the L, or it's Spumoni Gardens, just on the stoop, just the crazy things, and just the characters and the people. I mean, there were so many people, like, you knew everyone. Like, I always say this, like, you could walk 4 blocks and say hello to 300 people. You just knew. It's just such a tight-knit neighborhood. And then, at night, and, with the alcohol and stuff, there was a lot of times where a lot of, things happened that, a lot of testosterone flying around in Brooklyn back then.
Hey, William. My name is Ricardo. I'm the producer here. I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos. I mean, I grew up on it. And your Jason Molinaro character, you were only in it for a couple of seasons, but I remember. So I know you came on in season 5. How intimidating was it when you actually had to sit down in those table reads? Because I know if you had just at least one line, you had to sit down with all the actors and everybody. How was it sitting there?
You always, the thing with that is that I had, believe it or not, gotten cast for season 4, but I was on Analyze That. I played the character Al Pacino.
Right.
And it's funny, but I was dying to be on the show, like everyone in New York was dying to be on The Sopranos. And I had finally got on, and I had got cast for a role, and I was on Analyze That, working, with Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal and Kat Moriarty, and it was, I couldn't do The Sopranos because I was booked for like the next 2 months on that movie. And then I got on, I was like, oh man, I hope I didn't miss the boat on this. And then they called me back the following season, and I was fortunate enough to be part of it. And as we were saying, those table reads were sworn secrecy. No one knew, like even, it's crazy because even the main actors, like the people that had, very significant parts, from what I understand, and being at the table read, I was able to kind of really believe that this was true because it was a surprise to everyone when you showed up at that table read. It was like David Chase did not let people really know much what was going on. And so I would see their faces when they had to read their parts, and they were like, wow. It was like sworn secrecy of what was going on with that episode.
I can even add to that. I can even add to that, William. I'll tell you a funny story to add to what William's talking about, just to emphasize it, because William's right. Stevie Sharippa, my good buddy who played Bobby Bacala, told the story that, the show was kind of winding down. Yeah, he's great. And the characters knew the show was winding down. So Stevie lives in down by the Freedom Tower here in New York City, down by what we call Fido, the financial district. And one afternoon, he was home, and he got a knock on his door. And he went to the door, William, Ricardo, and Greek, and it was David Chase. And he had no idea David Chase was even stopping by. And he opened the door. This is a true story. And David Chase goes, "You know why I'm here."
Oh,
and he goes on to say, he was like, "Oh my God, it felt like a real hit. Like it felt like a real hit. David Chase knocked on my door in the middle of the afternoon, and sure enough, he sat down in his apartment that day, and he said, listen, we're going to have you buying some trains at some store, and you're going to get whacked in episode 4 or 5, whatever it was of the final season. But that's why I'm here to tell you that this is it. You're dead man walking, basically." And Sharippa tells the story that when he opened the door to David Chase, quote unquote, it felt like a real hit.
That is
yeah. How it was, like, I used to notice that, like, when people would show up and they would be like praying that they weren't getting killed, because everyone wanted to stay on that show as long as possible. And one day you'd show up there, and the next thing you know, you'd be killed. But it was such a sworn to secrecy thing, and I remember so many people asking me, because I was there towards like all the way to the end. My character was I didn't have a very big role, but I was part of all of that, and I remembered all these scripts, and even when Christopher was killed, I knew that Christopher was going to get killed, and people would like ask me, "So what's going? Tell me," and no one would say a word about what was going on, because if you did, you would definitely be gone on that show.
You'd be whacked then.
Yeah, but it was a great experience to be part of that show. I mean, and especially now when you think about how long it's been gone, and you watch the reruns and just really see how fantastic everything was about that. And even not only the show, but the time. The time was like, it was just, it makes you miss almost the time when The Sopranos first aired, how, to me, it was just a really good time in my life personally. And I think in New York, it was just a great time for that show.
William,
it really made Jersey, but it did so much for New Jersey.
William DeMeo joining us. William, we want to thank you for your time, and again, much success. We hope we could all get together. Maybe I could bring my show down to your set when Sid comes down in Fort Lauderdale. Love to be there with you guys, and much success and good health to you, pal.
Thank you, and the same to you guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and definitely when we are filming there, I would love for you to come to set, and I'm really happy to have Sid being a part of the show. He's a great guy, and I look forward to it all. I hope you guys have a great weekend. God bless.
You too. God bless. Keep us in mind, and we'll definitely come down there, and we'll do the show right from the set with Sid Rosenberg. Thank you, William. Sid, sounds good. Sounds like you got a future, buddy.
Yeah. Well, listen, he's the real deal. I mean, the guy, you should, if you haven't seen the show, he played